Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Vinitam Nina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Nitya Namineche Namirhate Shraddhamulyanam Dite Chere Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I offer thousands of obeisances unto the lotus feet of my eternal divine spiritual master, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and to my Param Guru and the whole Parampara. I offer my most humble obeisances to His Holiness Giriraj Swami, to all the God brothers and God sisters, senior devotees who are in this assembly today and who may be listening later, and to all of you at Divyanga Prabhu, who's here always encouraging me. My deepest thanks and obeisances for being my friend. And to all the devotees, I offer my humble obeisances. Hare Krishna. Vyasa Puja Day is the worship of Srila Vyasadeva. That's why we call it Vyasa Puja. And who is Srila Vyasadeva? He is either a Shaktivesh avatar of Krishna, or he's Krishna himself. In different millenniums, Krishna arranges for Vyasa, the empowered incarnation, either Shaktivesh or personal manifestation, or as his direct appearance, to come and give the world light through transcendental knowledge. So on the day of Vyasa Puja, one who is leading others on the path of Krishna consciousness, he has Anugachan, those who are following behind, which is, we hear Dai Tava Pache Pache in the song of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, that I'm simply running behind my guru. And that's because one's guru is also running behind his guru as well, always trying to do something to catch up. And the duty on this day of one who has this position as a spiritual master is to engage all of those who are followers in the service and worship of Srila Vyasadeva and all of his associates. There are sages that come to the world, the 4 Kumaras. There are the 4 Acharyas that you'll find prominently worshipped and displayed at Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's Mutt in Mayapur. And we have also Srila Vyasadeva's direct disciples, in whom he invested the power to study a particular aspect of the Vedas and then make it available to the world. His idea always is to make it available to as many people as possible for their benefit. And then, of course, Shukadeva Goswami, the Panchatattva. And we have our Srila Prabhupada, who exemplified Srila Vyasadeva in his ability to write literatures like nobody's ever written before for the benefit of humankind with such compassion. We saw it with our own eyes our unbelieving eyes, we couldn't imagine how anyone could do such a thing, nor will anyone come close to doing such a thing ever again, in our estimation. So this is the day, Vyasa Puja, when I worship Vyasadeva, when I worship all of these acharyas. Normally it's done in a grand ceremony with water pots, with special swastikas on them. Auspicious mantras are uttered. And this is the Vyasa Puja day protocol. To remember that we are in a dark world. It is a world that is sealed off from the spiritual world. Unfortunate are those souls who are lost in the material world. Brahmanda Brahmate Kun Bhagyavan Jeev. Wandering means without a purpose, or as some places Prabhupada says, loitering. Loitering means that you're up to no good, really. Not that you're doing anything bad, you're just not doing anything good either. You're just hanging around with no purpose. But the soul has a grand purpose, an eternally grand purpose that gets better and better at every moment. And the souls in this world have lost their sense of purpose. They don't know what light is. And they even become angry when someone mentions that there is light somewhere that's free, the free light and freedom of movement, freedom from death. These almost sound abhorrent to those who are samsarically attached, samsaric asakti, attachment to samsara for some unknown reason. Bhayam dvitiya binibeshatasat ishad apetasya viparya yosmritihi. Havi Yogendra says that this is the plight of the living entities in this world, to be attached to competing with Krishna and turning their back on all that is great, all that is beautiful, and missing it all for a reflection that doesn't satisfy, that subjects us to birth after birth in the material world. So these sages, like Shukadeva Goswami, out of mercy, because they have no job in this world except to give mercy. They have no obligation because they're freed from karma. Karma means obligation, it means debt. Devarshi bhutatma nrinam pitrinam na kinkaro nayam nrani charajan sarvatmaraya sharanam sharanyam gato mukundam parihrittakartam. Everyone's in debt when they come into this world and have to work hard to pay it off, except for one who is fully surrendered to Mukunda. And those are free to give mercy to others. And without their touch, without them going out of their way to go to far-flung places and vibrate the holy name and teach people the methods for reinstating oneself in Krishna's family, in the spiritual world, these souls are eternally lost. So this is what we are worshiping today, this principle. Actually, this principle comes from Krishna. As Krishna, Hey Krishna, Karuna Sindho, Dina Bandho, Jagatpate. He is the ocean of mercy. He expands himself into Sri Balaram, into Sri Nityananda Prabhu, who are identical. And Sri Nityananda is Akhanda Guru Tattva. He's the principle of Guru Tattva because his purpose is to connect all the souls one way or another to the lotus feet of the Lord. He's in a mood of service, and that service, the highest of services, is how to connect the souls with Krishna and bring them out of darkness. The prayers of personified Veda, the personified Vedas, in their prayers say that the greatest pastime of Krishna is his pastime of rescuing the souls from this world. And that is Nityananda Prabhu's work. That is Balaram's work. So this is who we are worshiping on this day. And we're also worshiping those who have somehow or other, out of good fortune, been touched by the Guru Tattva, by Nityananda Prabhu through his agents. Why do we glorify such people? Because it glorifies the ones who are distributing it. If we say that there's no one that can become qualified by the touch of these empowered representatives of the Lord, then what are we saying about them? If we understand how powerful the holy name is, as does Devahuti, Aho patashwa pachato gariyanya jiva gre vartate namatubhyam te pusta paste juhuvusasna arya brahmanachu nama grananti yete, said, oh, this is the most amazing thing, that if someone just says Hare Krishna one time, the tip of their tongue, they can be freed from all sinful reactions. And the great souls, or the Mahatmas, their hearts are so big, they want to go and give it to everybody as much as possible. And after they distribute it, if we say that no one else could get it, it doesn't make any sense, because it's not true. The ones that are touched by the mercy of the Guru Tattva, they also become electrified and are able to pass that electric current onto others. And that's the proof, actually, of the parampara system, which is very much necessary, as Prabhupada writes in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, that every aspiring soul in this world needs to have a loving spiritual set of parents to nurture. Otherwise, you grow up without parents, like you're raised by wolves or something. And how do you turn out? With all kinds of feelings of being left out, being less than everyone else. There's a psychological damage that takes place without having proper parenting. It's one of the foundational stones of Vedic culture, that the parents are meant to be there, not just parents, but also grandparents and great-grandparents and everybody else. They all live in one house practically, and help the children to grow up strong and feel that they have every right in the world to reach their full potential. It's the same in spiritual life. There has to be a personal touch that's coming through the parampara. So we celebrate that, and in our International Society for Krishna Consciousness, in finding our way into that current of the Guru Parampara, we've been that's exactly what it is. We've been finding our way, and when the heart comes home to the vibration where we feel loved, where we feel trust, where we feel that the vibration is actually coming through, it is the same thing. We can taste it, we can feel it, and we may philosophically examine and say someone's fit, unfit, but it's more about how the electricity is coming through. So on this day, we worship that vibration that comes through even those who are seemingly unqualified to have such a vibration come through them. I mean, who are you? Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said this on his Vyasa Puja day. What am I? An animal sitting here on a seat, taking praise from others? He said, what am I, sitting in a zoo garden and everyone's looking at this brute? He went on to say, how much audacity must I have? And then he explained that actually it's the order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that everyone should take this burden of accepting responsibility for carrying the Guru Tattva. It's been given to us, we should give it to other people. And what comes along with it? All kinds of adversity. It comes. Prabhupada mentions this within his purports. He said, people like Jesus Christ, Haridas Thakur, they were beaten. They tried to kill Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, the anti-party, wanting to kill him. They tried some attacks and so forth. This goes on. So there's always adversity when you try to do anything. But those who feel connected with the Guru Parampara and are realizing the knowledge, Tadarajas tamo bhava kama lobhadayas jaye ter anavidam stitam sattve prasidati. They feel solidly situated in spiritual life by the mercy of the Parampara, and therefore they move forward and without hesitation give it to others. So there are different kinds of disciples that Srimad Bhagavatam mentions. It's coming from a discussion with Dr. Narada Muni. The first-class disciple is able to understand the heart of the spiritual master. Sri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam is mentioned in our pranams to Srila Rupa Goswami. He knew the heart of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Even Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was surprised when he saw Rupa Goswami had written a verse that only Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had in his heart. He didn't tell anybody what it meant, but Rupa Goswami knew, and he gave him a slap. He took him on his lap. How did you know this? That's the most intimate kind of disciple. And then the second kind of disciple is one who hears the order of the spiritual master and then follows it. The next is one who hears the order of the spiritual master and begrudgingly follows it. Slow on the uptake. And then there's the disciple who hears the order of the spiritual master and doesn't follow it. And there's putra, which means the son or the disciple, and mutra, which means stool or urine. As a son is begotten through the same channel that urine comes from. So you can be putra or mutra if you don't follow. So Prabhupada mentions in the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita that if one can take up the mood and mission of the spiritual master and fine-tune one's attention to what the Guru actually wanted, what the Guru actually says, and then to follow that, then that is the Bhakti Lata Bij. And it's from that seed that one can pass on the same vibration and plant the same seeds in others. And this is the whole purpose of the Krishna consciousness movement, is to plant these seeds as far and wide as possible. That's why the metaphor is there. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was a gardener. He wanted it planted everywhere. And how else would it be planted other than following the order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, where he said, Yari Dako Tarikaha Krishnupadesha Maragnai Guruhana Tara Idesh. He told everybody, you have to do this. You have to also take the mercy from the Guru Parampara and apply it to your life so that you can become a conduit for the same mercy and pass it on to others. And that is the principle that we're worshiping today, that it goes on everywhere as far as possible to as many people as possible. That is to increase the happiness of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. After all, the Vedas say, Eko Bahushyam. The Lord expanded himself from one into many. Why? For his own enjoyment. And he wants unlimited happiness. So how does he get happiness? Only from his devotees. And how is it ever expanding? When more living entities come in contact with the holy vibration and then start worshiping the Lord. So we see examples throughout the Shastra of the perfect disciples, and we worship that example and aspire to come to that level. In the Srimad Bhagavatam itself, which is our guiding light, Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahma Samhitam Uttama Shloka Charitam Chikara Bhagavan Rishi Nirshaya Shayalokasya Damnam Sastayanam Mahat. This Bhagavatam is not different from Krishna. It is Krishna himself manifested in this world. But how did it manifest? It comes through Srila Vyasadeva. But how? We find this in the 5th chapter of the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, when Srila Vyasadeva had completed the Vedic literatures. He had divided them, as I mentioned before, entrusted them, the various parts, to various disciples. He had then given the Upanishadic wisdom, which was a summary of the most important aspects, principles of the Vedas, expressing that we are not part of this world. And then the Brahma Sutras, the Vedanta Sutra, which are the codes through which one can expand all Vedic knowledge through intelligence and through the commentaries of the acharyas. And then he gave Mahabharata. He gave the Puranas to explain the purpose of the Vedas, and the Mahabharata, which was really a page turner, because he knew that people in this age would not be able to sit down with Vedanta Sutra or the Upanishads. Very few people have attraction for that kind of terse language and philosophy. So the Mahabharata then has these 700 verses of the Bhagavad Gita. Even after all that, he was feeling despondent. And that's when his guru arrived. And this is the uncanny way in which Krishna, who's within everyone's heart, comes to the sincere devotee through the agency of the parampara, through the guru. We find Dhruva Maharaj, even though he had some material ambition, when he was heading to the forest, not taking no for an answer, he met Narada Muni. How did Narada Muni know that he was going? Prabhupada explains, Krishna's within everyone's heart, and he informs the teacher, you have to intercept over here and help this person. Krishna knows everything. He knows all our movements. And Gajendra says the Lord's never lazy about it either. He's aware at every second of what our psychic movements are. And if he detects one molecule of sincerity towards spiritual life, he'll arrange a guru to come into one's life. What to speak of Srila Vyasadeva, who is sitting, contemplating, why don't I feel right? Why don't I feel joy in my heart after doing all this work? So that's when Narada Muni appeared before him. And when Srila Vyasadeva greeted him, gave him a proper seat of esteem, worshipped him, gave him water to drink, then the conversation began, in which Vyasadeva expressed, I followed vows. I did everything. I've also compiled all these literatures, but still something's not right. I don't feel complete. And then his guru, Narada Muni, began to explain why. He said to Srila Vyasadeva that although you've given all these Vedic literatures, you talked about Indra, Surya, you talked about Nrsimha, you talked about all these various entities everywhere, and you've given them almost equal stature. What about Ete Chamsha Kalapum Sam Krishnastu Bhagavan Soyam? What about Krishna? Have you spoken about him? You've given dharmic information, but Narada called it Jugupsikam, Jugupsitam Dharma. He said that you've taught a kind of dharma which is objectionable, because ultimately people will take that according to their own nature. They'll accept karma, jnana, and they'll say, okay, Vyasadeva said it, therefore it's bona fide and we'll stay here. They'll never come out of the material world from that. And what's so objectionable about that information? He said, Naish karmyam apyachuta bhava varjitam, the shobate jnanam alam niranjanam, kutakpuna shashvada padramishvare, nacharpitam karma yadapyakaranam. He said, unless you have achuta bhava, you have this emotion for Krishna, this feeling of, unless you have devotional service, pure devotional service, it doesn't matter if you have of niranjanam, even if it's beyond the modes of nature. And it's naishkarmyam, you're not doing it for any fruitive reason. But if you don't have a chuta bhava, nashobate, it's not beautiful. It doesn't look well, Prabhupada translates. It doesn't look well. It's off. It won't satisfy you. What to speak of, he says, Kutakpana shashvara padramishvare, nacharapitam karma yarapya karanam. What to speak of working for fruitive results, which is always inauspicious. It's always a badram. But you've left people in this conundrum. You've left them stranded because you haven't given the real thing. And he said, if you don't tell about Krishna, that their minds, anything different from the vision of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead and loving service to him, he explained, this becomes a disturbance. It's like a boat on the water is disturbed by the wind and it can't get to its destination. It's pushed here and there. And he went on to say that better you tell about pure devotional service. You're trying to bring people from materialistic background, but what about telling them directly about Krishna? Tyaktva swadharmam charanam bhujam harer, vajana pakvota patet tato yati yatakwa, babadram amuda bhushakim, kovarta apta bhajatam sudharmata. Even if they hear about Krishna and they try for pure devotional service, but they don't make it, Narada said, it's better than if you teach them all this other stuff and they never get Krishna. That was really Prabhupada's impetus to write the Krishna book. He was up to the 4th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, then he stopped translating and he wrote the whole summary. And Rameshwar Prabhu tells us the history of how eager Prabhupada was to have 52 color plates showing the pastimes of Krishna in Vrindavan, so that people could see the Supreme Personality of Godhead for themselves. And without that Achyuta Bhava, without the rasa that comes from hearing directly Krishna Katha, then what good is it? Narada is telling his disciple. What good have you actually done for people? This is why you feel despondent. So all the literature in the world that's embellished, it's chitrapadam. It's got all kinds of beautiful poetry in it, but if it doesn't have this Achyuta Bhava, then he said, it's like a place of pilgrimage for crows. And then, Tadvag visargo janataga viplavo yasmin prati shlokam abhadyavatyapi namanyanantasya yashon kitani yat shrinvanti gayanti grananti sadhava. On the other hand, if you get the transcendental literature, which is namanyanantasya, it's full of the names of the Lord, full of the pastimes, the lila, the rasa of his relationship with his devotees. Then what you do is you create a revolution in the world. Viplava means you turn it over. That's what we want to do. Prabhupada said, as I write here, I write on and on. I'm envisioning a revolution, that this will change the world, that history will mark the time when the Bhagavatam came in to this world and it changed everything. Who can know the power of a seed when you plant it? Nirkula talked about planting earlier in the year. We started planting little seeds that Janu Muni so kindly sent us and watering them. And I've never grown things from seed very much, mostly from seedlings, because I was lazy. But I went through the process of putting the seeds in the ground, and when they'd come up, they'd actually sprout. I did a little dance every time. I thought a new life had come up. I thought some miracle had happened. And for Prabhupada, he said, every time I hear about another book translated into a language, another language, he said, I feel as if I've conquered an empire. And why did he say that? Because it's true. One book can change a whole country. What to speak of thousands and millions of them? So Narada Muni was in this mood. He said, Tadvag visargo janataga viplavo, turn it over, turn this material world over, turn this kata a different direction, get it into the anantyanantasya, the unlimited transcendental pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yes, the Vedas have all these utterances, soham, and aham brahmasmi, tattvamasi. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Shutva, he said that all these utterances, they cannot melt the heart. They cannot change one's direction in this material world, actually. The conclusion is, okay, I'm not my body, but what do you do then? It has to be a description, Narada's telling Vyasadeva, of the Supreme Personality of God's pastimes in the spiritual world. Did you tell people about how Krishna, as a little baby, is so adored by his parents that when he learns to turn on his side, they hold a festival. That's the festival during which he kicked over the cart. Did you tell them about the time that all his friends complained that he ate dirt? And then his mother said, did you eat dirt? And he said, I didn't eat dirt. He lied. And then he complained against all his friends, said they're liars. And what about how the gopis speak about him? When the bumblebee comes and Radharani says, you're an unreliable servant of an unreliable master. She's in a madness of separation from Krishna. And then she's chastising the bee by way of chastising the bee, she's chastising Krishna. Say, I know who this Madhva, I know who this Madhu is. He's the one, actually, in another incarnation, we've heard this from Gargamuni and others, he's had many different appearances in this world. And as Ramachandra, he cut off the nose of Shuparnarka. What kind of person is that? He stood behind a tree and killed Bali. Not like a warrior, but like a coward. He stood behind a tree. And then she said, what about when he came as Vamandev? He tricked Bali and he took away all this stuff. What kind of personality is this? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, actually through the pen of Kaviraj Goswami, he's saying that actually Krishna relishes this chastisement from his loving devotees and the way they treat him like a little child. Rohini says, you come home now, stop playing. And then he starts to go and his friends say, if you do go, you can't come back. We won't let you play tomorrow. So Krishna stays and plays. And then his mother comes and says, you get home now. This is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Have you told these pastimes about the Lord? And so Narada explains to Srila Vyasadeva about his coming in contact with the great devotees, hearing the mantras, Om Namo Bhagavate Tubhyam, and how his heart was transformed by the association of Vaishnavas, by hearing their singing about the personality of Godhead, and how he was able to then become an eternal associate of the Lord. And he says, Iti murtyabhidanena mantra murtim amurtikam yajite yagya purusham sasam yagdarshana puman. He tells Vyasadeva that actually your Vedic system is not so important. He said there's a better system, my Pancharatric system. Our Pancharatra comes from Narada. And he says, Iti murtyabhidanena mantra murtim amurtikam. These mantras, the Pancharatriki mantras, are directly practical ways to worship the Supreme Lord directly. And by these very personal mantras and personal worship of bhakti, one can easily understand the Lord. And for Darshana Puman, you'll understand everything about him directly. But not from this other stuff, not from Aham Brahmasmi, and not from all the other instructions. You have to be very direct and tell about Krishna. So if anyone ever felt that they were having a hard time adjusting their message for teaching Krishna consciousness, you can take solace in the fact that even Srila Vyasadeva, the great incarnation of the Lord who compiles all the Vedas, also is trying to adjust it. And it takes great pain and consideration. One has to think very deeply and observe the environment, how to get the message through. That's parampara. And that's what we're worshiping, that endeavor to pass on it in any way possible so that people can catch that current. So Vyasadeva then followed the instructions of his spiritual master, which was, now you go to your place and you go into complete concentration, samadhi. And from that, you give this information for the whole world. So Srila Vyasadeva at Shamyapras, the place where the modes of nature, this what the meaning Shamyapras is, that they're neutralized there. He could sit with complete concentration. And from his samadhi, it's described there in the Srimad Bhagavatam, how he envisioned perfectly the pastimes of the Lord. He saw them. He also saw how the living entities were being harassed unnecessarily by these anartas. They've taken them on, these anartas, that I am my body, I am part of this world, I am meant for working hard for some political party or any designation anyone can hold on to in the darkest of ignorance, and they're fully dedicated to this. He saw that this is the problem of the living of the samohita jiva. And then Vyasadeva, in his perfect trance, was able to see all the pastimes of the Lord. And then beyond the Bhagavat Purana, which was already available, that he made available, then he gave us the Srimad Bhagavatam, which was all the details of the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in Vrindavan that we find in the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Anarto pasanam sakshad bhakti yoga manhoksaje lokasya ajanato vidvams chakre satvata samhitam. And that's why Shukadev Goswami says he gave us Bhagavatam. It's because that's the only way that one would be able to rise above ignorance. And that's who we're worshiping today and why we're worshiping today, because it's the pinnacle of all knowledge. And it's not just self-realization, it's not just mindfulness, it's not just meditation. We're getting the rasa that takes place between Krishna and his intimate devotees. And that's what we're worshiping today on Sri Vyasa Puja, the descent of that knowledge through these personalities. And to whatever degree that we're able to imbibe it and pass it on to others, we're rejoicing in that, and we're celebrating that on Vyasa Puja Day. And so this is a time when the world really needs dedicated personalities. I heard Bhaktin Paula in the UK earlier. She was talking about her fascination when she was young, looking at documentaries about people who are dedicated to doing good for others. I really like that mood. Just, it's some samskar she had that she was thinking about. Well, isn't that the nice thing? That people are trying to do something for others, for strangers, and they want to do something good. And then when she found Krishna consciousness, she said, "Yes, that's what I want to do too, and here's the way to do it." So we can see that the Guru Parampara is teaching us by their example that we have to struggle to fine-tune our understanding, the Siddhanta Bale Chita Nakara Alash Iha Hoite Krishna Lage Sudrmanosh. So we can be laser focused in giving this to other people, determined, because we know what the value is Also, that it is important to connect to the Guru Parampara. Otherwise, why would Srila Vyasadeva have taken a guru? Why would Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu have accepted Srila Ishvara Puri as a guru? What about Krishna himself? He had gurus. Guru Parampara, Yasya Devi Para Bhaktir Yata Devi Tata Guru Tasya Te Katitahyarta Prakashanti Mahatmanaha. You can read a book, but unless you have the mercy of the guru alongside, implicit faith in both simultaneously, then you won't understand it completely. There's something especially mystical about the Guru Tattva. It's Krishna manifesting himself in a very accommodating way to us wherever we live, whether it be the suburbs of California or the inner city of Ann Arbor, Michigan. He somehow appears through the Guru Parampara just for us. And that's what we're worshiping today. So the spirit of this festival that we have every year and the whatever accolades come my direction, I take as the greatest of encouragement, as a reflection, a time to look in the mirror and say, how are we doing? And it's, of course, we work only for all of us, only for service. But when we get some kind of reciprocation, we hear from someone, this helped me in some way, it makes everything worth it. When we hear things, it makes everything not just worth it, but it's the most inspiring elixir that one could ever drink. So I am excited that we're all in this journey together. No one ever knows what's going to happen next in Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement. But we know that if we extend ourselves and we do it in the right mood, that the reciprocation will be inordinate. And that's what keeps us alive in the Krishna consciousness movement. That's what puts the move in the movement. As we take more and more risks, we risk our heart opening it up in faith to others, that through whom we see the Guru Parampara coming. We don't try to block it with some mental activity. Of course, we're intelligent. I mean, you are. And there's a way in which we understand Siddhanta, which means, Pradyumna once told me, Siddhanta means not just what something is, but also what it isn't. It's very precise. Siddhanta bole chitta nakara alash. We can't be alash or lazy about it, understanding, but from the heart, we're open. When Krishna's mercy comes through, we take it. And from there, we can literally move this vibration and the Bhagavatam to every home in the world. And it can become a reality, obviously, what our gurus have told us, what Srila Prabhupada has asked us to do. When Prabhupada took up his mission, it seemed impossible, even to the greatest of Vaishnavas in India. Some of them reasoned, I've heard, that maybe Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's every village means every village in Bengal, or maybe it means every village maybe in India, but that sounds like a stretch. What to speak of far-off lands where people eat abominable things and have no conception whatsoever? How would it happen there? But Prabhupada took that mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to go everywhere, go to every door and spread this, and look what happened. So we cannot claim to be permanently unqualified because it's not our qualification, it's the qualification that comes through us when we surrender the Guru Parampara. And to whatever degree we do, we can experience the exhilaration of spreading the Krishna consciousness movement. Everything else in this world is not only boring, but it's stupid. It's a colossal hoax, the whole material world. It has no meaning whatsoever. It's just going on mechanically at somebody who's sleepwalking and bumping into things. But the Krishna consciousness movement has the greatest meaning. And that's what we've signed up for. And that's what we're celebrating today, is the ability to see that. And we know it's coming through the great souls to us personally, each of us, from Srila Vyasadeva and his representatives. So I thank all of you for dedicating your lives to spreading the movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. All the great devotees like Jayananda Prabhu and all the senior devotees who have come before us are cheering us on. And we only have a little time. We're in our Katvanga moment now. We only have a little bit of time, all of us, to express this, to bring out the Guru Parampara, the mood, and give it to as many people as possible, and starting with ourselves. So I make this prayer today. Our dear Srila Prabhupada, our dear Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, if you so desire, please empower all of us to wholeheartedly take in your message, and please empower us with all facility and enthusiasm to execute it, to please you, and to help you in your mission of spreading Krishna consciousness all over the world. Thank you for considering our request. And everyone who agrees with this prayer, in part or in whole, please unmute yourself and say Hare Krishna.
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 Whatever the avocado said was good.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna. Hari Bol.
Haribo.